Hello, seniors! It's been a while, and I hope you are all in good health for today's another discussion. So let us go on the journey of learning on the field of Philippine politics and governance. Brace yourselves and have a happy learning ahead. Decentralization and local governance. This lesson introduces the political perspective of understanding the fundamental concepts of local governance in the Philippines, embodied in the Local Government Code of 1991. Moreover, it focuses on the local government unit administration, powers, authority, and the present thrust and developments in the local government units in the Philippines. Before we proceed in our topic, let us first look in its content standard. Demonstrate an understanding of the historical background of Philippine democratic politics, the executive, the legislative, the judiciary, as well as decentralization and local governance. For the performance standard, the students must be able to explain the rules of different political institutions. Lastly, for the most essential learning competency, explain the rules and functions of local government units. So let us proceed with our topic. Local autonomy. When we talk about local autonomy, it refers to self-governing. Local autonomy class is the granting of more powers, authority, responsibilities, and resources by the national government to local government units in order to be self-reliant and active partners. Decentralization. Decentralization refers to the transfer of power and authority from central institution to lower or local levels of government system. According to Raul P. de Guzman, decentralization generally refers to the systematic and rational dispersal of power, authority, and responsibility from the center to the periphery, from top to lower levels, or from national to local governments. Let us talk about the forms of decentralization. So the first one is devolution, followed by the concentration, and lastly by the bureaucratization. So let us look for them one by one. The first one is devolution. It is the transfer of power and authority from the national government to local government units or LGUs. It is seen as political and territorial. It involves the process by which the central government relinquishes certain functions to local government units. It thus seeks to strengthen or to create independent levels or units of government. It is an arrangement where there are reciprocal, mutually beneficial, and coordinated relationships between central and local governments. The next one is the concentration. The concentration is the transfer of power, authority or responsibility or the discretion to plan, decide and manage from central to local levels. It is administrative and sectoral in nature. It involves the redistribution of administrative responsibilities within the central government. An example of this is the shifting of workload from the central government agency to its own field staff outside the national capital. And lastly, the bureaucratization. The bureaucratization is the transfer of some public functions and responsibilities which government may perform to private entities or non-government organizations. It is a form of decentralization which involves the transfer of powers and functions from the government to non-government organizations or NGOs and people's organizations, including the private sector, all of which are sometimes referred to collectively as the civil society. The concept has been broadened to include harnessing the activities of various organizations in the voluntary sector. This concept recognizes the development is not the job of the government alone. The local governance of the Philippines. Local government units. According to dilg.gov.ph, here is the number of provinces, cities, municipalities, and barangays of the Philippines as of September 30, 2020. The Philippines is composed of 81 provinces, which includes Ilocos Sur, 146 cities, 1,488 municipalities, and 42,046 barangays. So these are the local government units that comprises the Philippines. Let us talk about the levels of the Philippine local government, starting with the President of the Philippines. So the President of the Philippines has general supervision on provinces just like Ilocos Sur. The President has also general supervision on cities independent from a province like Dagupan City and autonomous regions like the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Now under provinces, they have direct relation to component cities and municipalities, which these two has also direct relation to barangays under its jurisdiction. For the cities independent from a province, it has direct relation to its barangays. Lastly, for the autonomous regions, provinces under it has direct relation to its component cities and municipalities, which has also direct relation to the barangays. And cities independent from a province, which are under autonomous regions, has direct relation to barangays under its jurisdiction. Province. The largest unit in the political structure of the Philippines is the province. It consists in varying numbers of municipalities and in some cases of component cities. Its functions and duties in relation to its component cities and municipalities are generally coordinative and supervisory. The province, composed of a cluster of municipalities or municipalities and component cities, and as a political and corporate unit of government, serves as a dynamic mechanism for developmental processes and effective governance of local government units within its territorial jurisdiction. Basic functions of province. The first one is supervision. Every provincial government is tasked with supervising the municipal governments in the planning, budgeting, and service delivery process. Second one is developmental. This function has to do with facilitating economic development of municipalities within the jurisdiction of a provincial government by paving the way for transfer of technology and the granting of agricultural assistance to farmers. Environmental. This is associated with the enforcement of laws and ordinances relating to the preservation of the environment. Lastly, health. Provincial governments provide tertiary health services in addition to what are provided by each municipality. City. Cities or city is a tier of local government in the Philippines. All Philippine cities are chartered cities, whose existence are corporate and administrative entities is governed by their own specific charters in addition to Local Government Code of 1991. The city, consisting of more urbanized and developed barangays, serves as a general-purpose government for the coordination and delivery of basic, regular, and direct services and effective governance of the inhabitants within its territorial jurisdiction. Classification of city. The first one is highly urbanized cities. These cities within a minimum population of 200,000 inhabitants and with the latest annual income of at least 50 million. There are currently 33 highly urbanized cities in the Philippines, 16 of which is located in Metro Manila. The second classification of city is independent component cities. Cities whose charters prohibit their voters from voting for provincial elective officials because they are independent of the province. There are 5 cities in the Philippines that are considered as independent component cities. It includes Dagupan City, Cotabato, Naga, Ormoc, and Santiago City respectively. And the last classification of city is component cities. These are cities which do not meet the other requirements like the independent component cities and highly urbanized cities, which are considered component cities of the province in which they are geographically located. Example of these are Vigan City, Batac City, Lawag City, and even San Fernando City, which are located in Region 1. Municipality. Municipality is a political corporate body which is endowed with the facilities of a municipal corporation, exercised by and through the municipal government in conformity with law. It is a subsidiary of the province which consists of several barangays within its territorial boundaries, one of which is the seat of government found at the town proper or poblacion. The municipality, consisting of a group of barangays, serves primarily as a general-purpose government for the coordination and delivery of basic, regular, and direct services and effective governance of the inhabitants within its territorial jurisdiction. Cities and municipalities are identical on basic functions that they need to do. Let us look on it one by one. The first one is to ensure the delivery of basic services, followed by enact, which means enact policies and laws, enforce them, and govern their jurisdiction. It also includes exercise regulatory powers within jurisdictional areas to ensure that private enterprise does not impede the good and welfare of the public. And also issue permits and licenses, and to revoke or taking back the same if necessary for local business, land use, and construction, both for industrial and private purposes. Barangay. The smallest political unit into which cities and municipalities in the Philippines are divided. It is the basic unit of the Philippine political system. It consists of less than 1,000 inhabitants residing within the territorial limit of a city or municipality and administered by a set of elective officials headed by a barangay chairman, or commonly known as punong barangay. As the basic political unit, the barangay serves as the primary planning and implementing unit of government policies, plans, programs, projects, and activities in the community, and as a forum wherein the collective views of the people may be expressed, crystallized, and considered, and when disputes may be amicably settled. Basic functions of the barangay. It includes to ensure the delivery of basic services, enforce laws and regulations relating to the protection of the environment. Barangays has also a function to adopt measures to prevent and eradicate drug abuse, child abuse, and juvenile delinquency. It also includes to serve as a forum where people's interests and opinions on local and national issues are articulated. And lastly, It serves as a place for settling neighborhood disputes or conflicts. Criteria for creation, merger, and division of local government. So there are three criteria here, which includes land area, population, and income. In order for a place to become a province, it must have a minimum land area of 2,000 square kilometer, a population of at least 250,000 inhabitants, and an annual income of at least 20 million pesos. For a highly urbanized city like Makati City, the land area must be at least 100 square kilometer with a population of at least 200,000 and an annual income of 50 million pesos. For independent city and component city, they should have at least 100 square kilometer in land area, has 150 population, and an annual income of 100 million pesos. And lastly, for a place to become a municipality, the land area should be at least 50 square kilometer and has 25,000 population and an annual income of 2,500,000 pesos. Rules and functions of the local government units. Local government units shall endeavor to be self-reliant and shall continue exercising the powers and discharging the duties and functions currently vested upon them. They shall also discharge the functions and responsibilities of national agencies and offices devolved to them pursuant to this Local Government Code of 1991. Local government units shall likewise exercise such other powers and discharge such other functions and responsibilities if necessary, appropriate, or incidental to efficient and effective provision of the basic services and facilities enumerated herein. Aims of the Local Government Code of 1991. It is to transform LGUs into self-reliant communities and active partners in nation building by giving them more powers, authority, responsibilities, and resources. Another one, it hopes to achieve economic development at the regional and local levels by giving more freedom in carrying out their programs that are suitable for their areas. Devolved functions to LGUs. The devolved functions to LGUs includes agricultural extension, public works, improvement of tourism, community-based forestry, and even school building programs as well as telecommunications. It also includes field health and hospital services, social welfare services, and even housing and others like investment support. Let us also look upon the devolved regulatory powers. The first one is reclassification of agricultural lands, enforcement of environmental laws, inspection of food products and quarantine, enforcement of national building code, operation of tricycles, processing and approval of subdivision plans, as well as establishment of cockpits. Effect of decentralization in governance. Improved delivery of basic services such as providing medicines, equipments, and other essential supplies in government hospitals. The people will be closer to government. And also improved receptiveness of the government to the people's needs. If there are good effects of decentralization, there are also issues and concerns of it by LGUs. Here are few of it. The inadequacy of the internal revenue shares of the local government units to meet the budgetary requirements of the devolved function, programs, and projects. The continued lack of budgetary support from the national government for the full implementation of devolved tertiary health services. The interference of national government in the personnel and fiscal management of the local government units, as well as the need to further broaden the tax base of the local government units, and lastly, the need to devolve more power, functions, and programs. Do you have any questions so far? If you have, you may comment down below your questions, or you may send it to your teacher for them to answer it for you. Guess it's time to say goodbye for now, my dear learners. See you next time.